Okay, welcome back to episode 2 of the wrap-up of the regular season for Florida and for some other teams in the conference around the state. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. In this episode, we're going to start out, by the way, with, and there'll be another episode 3, okay? So just so you know, we'll have another 6 items there. We're going to start out with the SEC team that, Robbie, you thought was the most disappointing this year.
Well, there are a few, but the one that sticks out to me, Pat, is Missouri. Because of the preseason hype they had, talented roster, start out 5-0, and then just totally collapsed, cost their coach a job. So to me, they were hugely disappointing.
Remember when we were in Hoover, Alabama, and everybody was like, what? I think Missouri might challenge Georgia.
That was the team in the East that people were saying they may have the best chance to beat Georgia, challenge them for that title, but no.
And then they lost. They lost their first game to Wyoming. They lost their best player on defense. But you know the bottom line with this, Kelly Bryant's not that good.
No,
you know he's good.
He's
got great talent around him. He's a nice quarterback, but he isn't going to beat a lot of people.
But I think we'd look good with Clemson talent around us.
Exactly.
So,
well, maybe not.
But yeah, he was totally different in a different setting.
I'm still, and you're right about them, but I'm still going with Texas A&M.
I get that.
7-5, and with the talent they have, and of course they're paying the coach $1 billion to coach them. But it's not so much that. What bothered me about Texas A&M is they had a brutal schedule. Okay, we all got that. They never won any of the games.
And they never got better over the course of the year. What has happened to Jimbo's offense?
And Jimbo, like he's lost the gene to call plays.
Once he left FSU, it was gone.
Frustrating to watch when they're playing Georgia.
Yeah.
And Kellen Mond didn't get. Remember Kellen Mond? Again, when you go back to SEC media days, I'm the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
He may not be the 12th best.
No, and he's a talented guy, but he was so inconsistent in that offense. It was hard to watch.
Yeah, they were not fun to watch all year. Next up, what national team do you think was the most disappointing, Robbie? And there were a lot of those too. That's why there's so many openings.
Yeah, to me, Pat, I think Nebraska is because the Frost thing. Everybody was so fired up that he was the hottest coaching prospect around, and they did nothing the first year. People said, "Well, wait till the next year." Nothing. They didn't show any kind of improvement to me. They were just totally disappointing to me, and I don't know how you get better quick there because of the recruiting.
Right.
Where you at recruiting? It's hard to recruit there.
Well, I think because of Martinez at quarterback, people thought that would be enough, and they would kind of be able to pass over their flaws. But here's the thing, that was again the sexy summer.
Yeah, it was.
Everybody's like, I think Nebraska may win that division.
Yeah, watch out for Frost in his second year.
Yeah, didn't work
no
out.
Big bounce.
No, not a bounce at all.
No.
And it may, who knows, it may never bounce. All right, here's a good question for you, Robbie. Which was a better atmosphere in your mind, Auburn, Florida, or LSU, Florida?
Well, Pat, I think the Florida atmosphere was unreal. I think they were equal pretty much, but you give the edge to LSU because it's at night. And nighttime at Tiger Stadium is something else. It really is different. And people say it was louder than the Swamp. I don't think there was any difference in the noise level. I just think a little bit better because of the nighttime atmosphere and all those fans having all afternoon to get ready for the game.
Yeah, it was amazing that people were losing their minds before the game, and there were. When the 8-year-olds are getting drunk, you're going to have a loud.
That's a problem.
It was ridiculous, but it was great. But I'm going with what Gus Malzahn said. Swamp was loud.
He did. That's true. That was a great quote.
And I will tell you this, and I've said this to other people. For a sustained game, I've never been in the Swamp when it was that loud.
It was unbelievable, Pat.
Because it started before kickoff and it ended after everybody went home, and there was no lull in between. I've seen the Swamp get louder for a moment. I've seen the Swamp get louder for a quarter. Never for a.
No, it was headache-inducing, Pat. I went to the earbuds again. Like remember last year at Mississippi State?
Yeah, that was
the cowbells.
It was a loudspeaker.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, thank God I don't ever go back there. All right. Prediction that turned out to be true. So in other words, this summer when we were talking about something, what to you turned out to be true that we got right?
So I think the Florida receivers.
We thought they were going to be great.
Yeah, the build-up was there, and everybody thought they were going to be good, and they came out and were so cohesive as a unit, so many playmakers that, shared the ball. I think they just played at a high level throughout the year, and by the end of the year, they did get noticed. The talking heads were talking about how talented that receiving corps was. Yep. Before the year, nobody really said much about them.
Because of Alabama's.
Yeah.
They were all first-round draft picks. But I tell you, I think all these guys are going to play in the pros.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
They played at a very high level, and it was always a different guy, which made it good. You'd have a quarter where it was Van Jefferson, and then he wouldn't catch a pass the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And then it'd be Kyle Pitts and all that. So, it was a very impressive show. You throw Kyle Pitts kind of in there with the receivers.
And if you're a defense, you can't focus on one or two guys. A lot of times you can prepare your game plan around stopping one or two guys. Yet there are multiple guys.
And that's why I'll go with Kyle Pitts as my surprise of the year.
Nobody ever figured him out.
We were doing things that turned out to be.
Yeah, turned out to be.
But it goes back to, again, we talked about this before, the Peach Bowl.
Yeah.
We're there and everybody's raving about Kyle Pitts.
All the players were,
what are you guys talking about? Kyle Pitts what?
He had like 4 catches last year.
So we were able then to go out in the public and go, wait till you see Kyle Pitts. He's going to be
even though we didn't know it.
We didn't know. And he turned out to be right. Of course, I also went, Lucas Kroll may be the next Travis Kelce.
That didn't happen.
That one didn't happen.
The thing about Pitts, too, Pat, nobody figured him out. I mean, LSU did in the second half, but over the course of the year, he kept being a go-to guy. They couldn't, he was a matchup problem, and it stayed that way the whole year.
Well, and that's the thing. When you did say, okay, we've got to stop number 84, somebody else was going to get open.
Yeah, like number 12 or number 10.
Yeah. All right, the prediction that turned out to be dead wrong on Florida, as far as Florida goes.
I think the P. Ryan, Pat, the rushing thing.
Yeah, we thought he was a 50,000 guy.
I thought they were going to struggle up front, but I thought that he would get enough carries, enough openings to have a 1,000-yard year. I thought he would, but man, he never came close. But what he did do, great in pass protection, great in the receiving game.
Yeah, he definitely was good for the football team.
Yeah.
He helped the football team win
He definitely did. He was a very valuable player for him.
And there were a couple of runs, but I mean, the bottom line is it wasn't what we all thought we were going to see out of him this year. To me, it was Florida's cornerbacks, believe it or not.
Yeah,
I didn't think they had elite seasons.
Well, you look at C.J. Henderson, he made the coaches all SEC, but what did he do this year? No picks, only a few pass breakups.
He didn't make the AP.
No.
Because that's where I voted.
No, he didn't get even third team there.
Yeah.
So to me, I think the production just wasn't there, and you could say they didn't throw at him, but they did.
Yeah, I don't think he played a bad game.
No, I thought he was solid.
But he wasn't like an all-American type.
Yeah.
And neither was Marco Wilson. And Marco, I get, early in the season, he was terrible.
Yeah.
Because he was rusty.
Oh, he was rusty.
And he got better.
He did.
But both those guys, I just thought Florida would get more out of those guys. And I'm not knocking either one of them. They played their hardest. But, CJ can't get mad at me anymore.
No.
He's not playing.
And I think Marco, I don't know if he has made a decision yet, but I think he needs to come back and play another year at that star position because he got really good at that at the end of the year.
Absolutely. All right, last one here on episode 2. The game you feel most foolish for thinking the other team was going to win.
Or had a chance to win.
Or had a chance to win.
To me, it was Tennessee. I thought that they were going to come in here and make some plays, be a difficult game, and yet Florida.
What was the final there?
30-3 or
35-3.
35-3. It was a total wipeout. I didn't see that coming. I thought it was going to be a close game and that Florida would win at the end, but I thought Tennessee was going to have a chance to come in here and pull the upset.
Well, there's a lot of scars on us from Florida FSU games, so that game was, looking back on it, we must have been out of our minds to even think they had a chance. The South Carolina game, because they were coming off that win against Georgia and they had a lot of momentum going.
And it was raining.
But still, I'm right there with you. I thought because of Tennessee's receivers they had so many good receivers, and they never figured it out until the end of the season. Then they started winning games.
They got good at the end.
And they got good at the end, but they had better players than what they showed here in the Swamp. But that game in the Swamp was literally boring.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was just a game totally dominated by the Florida defense, and there was never any thought that once the game got going that Florida could lose that game.
Once they'd missed the wide open guy running down the field, which I predicted would happen. But anyway, all right, so that's episode 2. We've got one more episode coming up, and so when you get done with this one, you might want to just click over like you're watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. It's the same kind of
binge
deal.
watching.
You can binge watch this, or you may have to wait till tomorrow if you're watching it today, or not today and then tomorrow.
Now, if you're not confused by all that, then good for you.
They thought that we thought that they thought.
So we did this.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and do the last episode. We appreciate everybody for clicking on. Until next time, Pat Dooley, Robbie Andreu, the Gainesville Sun. So long from the Sunshine State.